Stacks can be a really important thing in your best ball leagues. Or can they be? We're going to give you some data on stacks today. We're going to tell you if they're going to help your best ball teams or if they're going to hurt your best ball teams. You might be really interested in the data that we've gathered on stacks in the last couple years. We're going to do this based on Underdog best ball draft. So if you haven't already, head over to Underdog. Make sure you sign up using code DOMAIN. If you do, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. So you're going to want to take advantage of that deal. Make sure you get over to Underdog and again, use code DOMAIN. And speaking of Underdog, like I said, today's data is built off of Underdog drafts and using our Underdog draft data tool that we have.
Yeah, so like you just mentioned, Underdog drafts are best ball. And when you're in best ball leagues, I'm sure a lot of you know this, you're going to want to draft for the highest upside. This year, over on Underdog, there's going to be 680,000 teams in Best Ball Mania 4. We're going to throw up the prize pool above us.
Pretty big prize pool.
As you can see at the top, if you want to pause, at the top, there's a lot of money. And there's not very many people who get to win that money. You have to be inside the top 16.6% of all 680,000 teams to even make your money back for each individual entrance. So just if you pay $25 to get in, you have to be inside the top 16% to make that back. Now, an average playoff rate. Teams that make the playoff contest is 16.6%. The finals rate is 1.8%.
Semifinals rate.
Semifinals rate was 1.8. And the finals rate is 0.1%. So only 1 out of 1,000 teams are making it to the finals. So we wanted to figure out, based on the last contests, how do people get into the finals, get into the playoffs, etc. In an analysis of the 450,000 entries that were in Best Ball Mania 3, we can identify which stacks last year gave teams a leg up and an above average playoff rate. So, the most successful stack in our eyes was the QB wide receiver stack. There were 63,855 teams that drafted a QB wide receiver stack. When drafting the QB in as wide receiver 1, the playoff rate was 19.2%, which is 15% higher than average. The semifinals rate was 2.2%, 22% above average, and the finals rate was 0.13%, which is 30% higher than the average entry. So as you can see right off the bat, if you draft a QB in as wide receiver 1, it's giving you a huge leg up, and there's some that are better than anything else. So I'm going to give you some just support of the guys who were huge legs up in a stack last year. So first, Tua and Tyreek. Tua and Tyreek had a 35.7% playoff rate when stacked together. That's more than double the average. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, the next one. Jalen Hurts alone had a 31.1% playoff rate. And when he was stacked with A.J. Brown, the team that had A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts had a 45.1% playoff rate, 3 times higher than the average, and a finals rate of 0.5%, 5 times over the average. That's a 500% increase. And then the last stack, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs experienced really similar success rates. But as you've noticed, when there's stacks that are giving you that much higher than average, that means there's going to also be stacks that give you well below average. So we went through and we found some statistics that might suggest success this next year. And we found 3 stacks that everyone can get. It's not guys that are going in the first and third round like Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, or Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's. It's the guys that all of us have a chance to draft at any point in our best ball drafts. So let's start that off with Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, so with Russell Wilson, obviously you're getting him at a steep discount because of last year. Last year, the coaching wasn't great. Jerry Jeudy did pretty well at the end of the year, but Russell Wilson really didn't do well the whole year. I mean, you remember the Colts-Broncos 6-9 game, the worst football game I've ever watched in my life. That was most of the Broncos games last year. So you're getting him, after a season of severe disappointment, you're getting him at a really, really nice discount. So 18.2 points per game over the last 8 active games of the season for Jerry Jeudy, and he's still relatively affordable. He's going at wide receiver 21 on Underdog best ball drafts with a total ADP of 40 and a half.
So that's in the middle of the 4th round.
Great value.
That's pretty freaking good value. I drafted a Jerry Jeudy in best ball yesterday. Russell Wilson's being treated like he's already retired. He's going as quarterback 18. So, and that's 132nd. So again, that's essentially cheap. I mean, free. That's essentially free. So through the last 8 active weeks, Russell Wilson actually scored 18.5 points per game. So when you're looking at the data for this Broncos stack, situationally, number one, there's a big improvement in the coaching the head coach department, and they've got Sean Payton now. Sean Payton, you obviously saw his success over the years with Drew Brees. He's one of the better head coaches in the NFL, period. And while he was out of the NFL, we obviously missed having him in there. Now he's stepping back into the NFL, and he's going to be the head coach for Russell Wilson and the Broncos. You cannot really predict that Russell Wilson's going to take a step back this year, I don't think. When you think about what Sean Payton's done with QBs, when you think about how he usually tailors his offense to his QB's best skill sets, this is going to be perfect for Russell Wilson, who's not once the QB that he not the QB that he once was, but again, he still has quite a bit of fantasy scoring upside given the offense that he's in, given the head coach situation. And then Jerry Jeudy. Look, Jerry Jeudy, I'd be the first to tell you that Jerry Jeudy has disappointed so far in his career. Jerry Jeudy's still relatively young. I think 24 years old now, if I'm correct.
Yeah. Yep.
He is. If Jerry Jeudy's going to have a legitimate prime in his career, this is probably the year his prime starts. And I think this is really possible. So again, you're getting these guys in the 4th and 13th round, respectively. Stacks in best ball, like Simon gave the data, stacks in best ball actually can be a good thing. So this is a stack that you're getting super cheap that probably has a pretty high chance of having a good playoff rate because they're going so late and because they're so cheap, and therefore could help you win your leagues. The next stack we're going to talk about is Deshaun Watson and Amari Cooper.
Yeah, so these two guys I think are being honestly pretty severely underplayed right now in best ball and in fantasy. And through the first 12 weeks last season, pre-Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper scored 16.2 fantasy points per game. That was 13th in the NFL. Now you're putting him into an entire offseason of experience with Deshaun Watson and a new season where Deshaun Watson is actually going to play and who will have a full offseason of preparation. And you see what Amari Cooper did with Jacoby Brissett last season, who we know who Jacoby Brissett is. Now you put him with a $250 million guaranteed quarterback in Deshaun Watson. What do you think that means? I mean, the prediction is pretty simple, but it's not really being demonstrated in best ball and in drafts. So even last season, you're looking at Deshaun Watson, who was coming off an 11-game suspension, hadn't played in a couple of years. Still, when he was paired with Amari Cooper towards the end of the season, they had a 17.7% playoff rate, which was 6% better than average across the league. So again, just like we said earlier, give him a whole season. What do you think that's going to turn into? It's going to increase. Last time we saw a full season of Deshaun, he was on a horrible Texans offense, and he averaged 23.5 points per game and a 69% QB1 rate. Amari Cooper is being drafted as wide receiver 18 right now on Underdog, and Deshaun is going as QB9. So it is very, very feasible to get both of them.
Yeah, they're going 4 rounds
in your
apart.
drafts right now, going 4 rounds apart. That is absolutely worth taking a shot on, and a very beneficial potential stack that could really help the success of your team long term.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last stack that we're going to talk about, and this might surprise you, Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson. So
yeah, when you have, I think the best thing to sum up these successful stacks that we're looking at is when guys have a high chance of outperforming their ADP. It gives them a huge chance to become true league winners in the next year. And Michael Pittman last year, and a very efficient wide receiver, someone who's shown to be pretty QB proof throughout his career, is now playing with Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen last year proved to be a mastermind offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He now has a better QB, and last year, teams that owned Michael Pittman made 13.2% of their playoffs, which is below average, but you can tell how much Matt Ryan was holding him down when you look at their stack percentage together, at 10.6% of teams that stacked Michael Pittman and Matt Ryan. So this year, he won't have a QB holding him down. He will have a brand new offensive coordinator, and it gives the two of them a really good chance to become a league-winning stack. And Pittman right now is going as a wide receiver 32 in the 5th round, even in the 6th sometimes in your best ball drafts. And Anthony Richardson is going as QB 11 all the way with an ADP at 100.
Jeez.
They're affordable, and like we just discussed, they offer massive upside. Michael Pittman has been a top QB in the league in targets and juke rate and route wins, and Anthony Richardson playing under Shane Steichen has Jalen Hurts level upside. So these two absolutely the 3rd league-winning pair when you're looking at possible stacks for this next season.
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are going to say, look, you look at We hear this literally on every video we talk about Michael Pittman. Every single one. So we understand. Anthony Richardson, rookie QB. You look at rookie QBs, their splits with their wide receivers in the rookie year, it's usually not good. Everybody's fading Michael Pittman, blah, blah, blah. Michael Pittman right now is being faded into oblivion, to be honest. You're talking about a guy that had 140 targets, I think, last year?
Yeah.
140.
140? That's a lot. And again, his route win rate, I think, was second in the league. It's a guy that gets open and has a good enough after catch ability to where he's going to produce pretty much quarterback proof wise. And I don't really understand. Matt Ryan was worse than a rookie QB last year.
Yeah, he was horrible.
I don't think it's going to get that much worse than it was last year. And I know Anthony Richardson, we worry about his accuracy, blah, blah. I'll tell you right now, Anthony Richardson can make throws that Michael Pittman, on the routes that Michael Pittman runs. I know he can because he did it in college. He made those throws. Michael Pittman, not really a deep threat, doesn't get a lot of deep targets. You're talking about the intermediate game, middle of the field, lining out wide, working the middle of the field even. Michael Pittman's really good at that. And when you're considering that and you're considering his target volume and you're considering all the skill set that he brings and how important he's going to be to that offense this year, who, frankly, the Colts will win some games this year. They're probably not going to make the playoffs. They're going to win some games. Michael Pittman is vitally important to that. Anthony Richardson going so cheap that you could see Anthony Richardson with a super high league win rate, with a super high playoff rate because he's going in the 11th round or something like that.
They have a great chance, both of them, to outperform their ADP, like we just said.
This is a value stack. This is not one of the premier stacks like Tua or Tyreek. This is not one of the premier stacks like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, but it is the best value stack that you can get in fantasy football right now because of where they're both going in ADP.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you have a stack on one of your best ball teams, on one of your dynasty teams, anything like that, we'd love to take a look at your team. We'd love to give you a personalized team graded video. We are doing that now for our Mother Flocker members on flockfantasy.com. When you use code DOMAIN, you not only get that, you get 30% off the site. So we're happy to be hosting our stuff on Flock Fantasy now. Happy to be partnering with the guys over there. So make sure you go check it out. And like I said, when you sign up, use code DOMAIN, you get all of our exclusive content, our Discord, our rankings, articles, and content from other creators. But you get our exclusive perks in our Discord. You get our listener leagues. We're starting some new listener leagues. So if you want to play in a league with us, even best ball leagues, make sure you're getting over there and using code DOMAIN and joining the Mother Flocker tier. And like I said, when you do that, you get your personalized team review video. So make sure you're heading over there and doing that. Make sure you like the video and make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. Really could use your help on that. We appreciate you watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about stacks. Peace out.